Jimmy, you came to Impact shortly after your WWE departure. Did you have discussions with any other companies? And what made you land on Impact Wrestling, if so?
I absolutely did. Full disclosure, I talked to Ring of Honor about going back there, and I did that for a lot of years. I was with Ring of Honor for 10 years, and I wanted to do something new. I had a conversation with Scott and Sanjay on the phone about different things in Impact, and it just seemed like a nice fit. It was something I wanted to try out, and so my first time in Ottawa was kind of just a test run, a test go to see sort of how the fit was, and the fit felt good. I mean, like I said, we're in a rebuilding phase, and they needed somebody who could wear a lot of different hats and do a lot of different things, and I have experience doing all those things as far as writing and creative and helping guys with promos and helping guys with matches and being an on-air character as well. It was nice, man. It was a nice week in Ottawa, and it sort of solidified that Impact is kind of the direction I wanted to go.
Just to follow up really quickly on that, I'm assuming the ROH conversations happened when you kind of made the cameo on their pay-per-view.
Right, yeah, and afterwards, I go back a long way with Ring of Honor. Back to 2003, and with the booker, Hunter Johnson and I are longtime friends. So of course, he was the first person I called. Before the news of me getting fired from WWE broke. I mean, I called him a couple days. The news when I got fired didn't break till almost a week later. So he was the first person I called. We set up that little cameo for me on their pay-per-view, and we talked about a role for me after that. And I told him I was in discussion with Impact, and that's where I ended up. So.
As it pertains to your schedule with Impact Wrestling, obviously the taping is a lot different, but how does that affect things when you have so much to do in such little time as opposed to WWE, where it's that constant grind and that constant travel and things like that? How has that changed for you in that regard?
It definitely is. It's a different thing, right? WWE, the schedule is 24/7, man. It was you fly out Sunday to do Raw Monday, to drive SmackDown Tuesday, fly out Wednesday, in the office all day Thursday, meeting with events on Friday, writing Raw and SmackDown Friday and Saturday. It was just nonstop. With Impact, it was crazy. It's like right now it's like the calm before the storm, and in the next few weeks we're going to start putting together creative for the upcoming shows, and then come we did this set of tapings at the beginning of January, and it was like nothing I've ever done in my life, man. It was like 6 days taping, two episodes of TV per day, and then afterwards, going back to the hotel room that night, and then looking over, the next day's creative and staying up till 6 a.m. doing that, and working these 18, 20-hour days, 6 days in a row. And I remember, Scott Demore and I we took a lot of the brunt of the work. Sanjay was at home. He had just gone through surgery, so he couldn't come down for these January tapings. So Scott and I were up every night, so 4, 5, 6 in the morning, working on the next day shows. And I look at Scott and I go, after one of the nights, it's the morning now. I look at him, I was like, Scott, I worked with Vince McMahon for 2.5 years, and it's the hardest I've ever fucking worked in my life. So it is a lot rolled into one.
Yeah, I wondered about that because you've got it's almost like a cram session, it would seem like.
Absolutely. And man, that's not the ideal way to tape the TV. And I think everybody at Impact's aware of that. And I think we're trying to break that down and break that into smaller chunks. Because it's just too, it's overwhelming creatively to do that. It's overwhelming work-wise. It's overwhelming for the guys. You can't get into the flow of things as well as you can. Just with just a little less. And if we just did 4 weeks at a time, or 3 weeks at a time, I think that'd be really helpful. Or 6 weeks at a time. But 12 is a beast, man. 12 is a beast. Like I said, it does have its positives in that we can tell congruent stories and things of that nature long term. But it's definitely not the ideal way to take television. I think everybody's aware of that.
You were closely tied with the Bullet Club, obviously. What kind of reaction did you get from them when you decided to make your move to Impact? And did they maybe push you to join them in Ring of Honor as opposed to that?
Honestly, man, we had very little talk about that sort of stuff, and they were super gracious after getting fired for WWE. And I think they felt a certain responsibility for it. And then I told the young bucks particularly, and who I go back a long ways with, I told them it was honestly, man, this whole thing has been a blessing, and so. But they've been very helpful with me as far as hooking me up with their T-shirt guy and the designs and things of that, sort of getting my foot back in the door of independent wrestling. Man, what do I do? But as far as career moves, I was able to sort of handle things myself. They made no pushes one way or the other. I mean, I'm close with them, but I'm not, we're not best friends, you know what I mean? If they've got their show, their All-In show, at some point, if I'm on it, I'm on. If I'm not, I won't be surprised either. So, there's we're close, but we're not that close, I guess. And we're friends. They're friends. They are friends of mine, but it's not, I'm not running by my, every, career move with them, I guess.